January 2025. I'm saying the dockets
Yes.
don't seem to have anything to do with Brigadier Mokwele.
The A1.
The dockets,
The docket.
all of them.
The 403, 404, and 405.
Yes.
You agree they've got nothing to do with
Yes,
Brigadier
on the
Mokwele?
face of the docket. There's nothing about that I picked up on BMW.
So the only time we get to meet Brigadier Mokwele and the appointment of Brigadier Mokwele is in the A1 statement of January 2025.
Yes.
And we know it's those two paragraphs. I want to suggest, I would like to share with you what I would consider to be armed with an affidavit such as Mr. Adams provided in January 2025. Scant as it is, accepting that it does not, the dockets don't assist us as regards Brigadier Mokwele. For an investigating officer such as yourself, who is looking into the manipulation of promotional and security vetting processes to unduly benefit a civilian person, what would be the logical starting point of your investigation? You've got nothing except that two-page A1 statement. What is the first step you take?
With that information that is given there?
In the A1 statement, yes.
My first point that I would look at the appointment process for civilian within crime intelligence, and the fact that now in this affidavit is mentioned BMW.
Sorry, please say that again. Sorry,
Are we talking about the A1 of January?
we are armed with the A1 of January.
Okay.
Scant as it is. I want to find out, as an investigator, what is your logical starting point regarding being heard to the fact that the complaint is about manipulation of promotional and security vetting processes to unduly benefit a civilian person. And we learn from paragraph 3 that such person is Mrs. Mokwele. That's all we know. Where do we start?
Okay. So we're looking on the A1 statement. That's paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 and 3, which we have spoken about early on. So here's an allegation of a high-ranking officer involved in manipulating promotional and security vetting to the undue benefit of a civilian person who worked for BMW South Africa before being appointed as a brigadier and CI. She had no policing experience, no management experience, and was appointed as the head of technical support services. So here's the starting point. Number 1, the head of technical support services. That's the post within crime intelligence. So that's my first lead with regards to this. Second, she's from BMW, brigadier post, head of technical support. I will start by subpoenaing the documents from crime intelligence on the TSSU post, and which I indeed did. And when I looked at it, then I discovered that there was a person from BMW, a civilian, that was appointed as according to paragraph 2 of this affidavit.
Yes. Well, according to the docket you provided, or before I say that, maybe you start where you started because you know what the processes are. I would have thought, but at some point you have to collect all the prescripts and policies of SAPS that relate to promotions and security vetting processes, unless you know them off by heart. That's what you would do, I presume?
Commissioner, Chair, Commissioner, Council, that's what I did.
Okay.
We requested all documentation on all the allegations from the National Commissioner.
Yes. Now, and we have to know what the prescripts provide and require for us to determine when we get into the facts of the case, whether there has been a manipulation. So we must have put up something to say, this is how the process should run. And when we look into the facts of this case, this is how the process ran, and therefore we suggest manipulation or departure from the prescribed process. So I'm saying to you that you need the base documents that tell you how the process should run.
That's correct.
So that's where you start, before you see what went wrong.
Yes.
According to your docket, though, the very first summons, Section 28 summons you issued on the 31st of January 2025 is to BMW, and you will find that at file 3 at page 802. File 3, page 802.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. There are a few Section 28 summonses in the docket, but when I look at all of them, this is the first, based on the date stamp. This is the first you issued, the 31st of January, 2025. You have a few following on the 6th of February to the National Commissioner, on the 3rd of April, and so forth. But this is your starting summons, and it's to BMW. If you go to page 804, that's where you list the documents you require. From Mrs. Mokwele.
Yes.
Sorry. You want her application for employment at BMW, positions held, occupancy periods, and salary paid, job descriptions and performance agreements, all qualifications, training and development, declarations of interest, letter of resignation, notice period, and the like. What informed you to make this particular selection of documents from BMW? All you have is an A1 statement thus far.
Your question there is what made us request this?
These specific documents on the 31st of January 2025.
The applicant, or rather Mrs. Mokwele, worked for BMW.
Yes.
By the time we prepared the summons, we knew who she was. Through investigation, we had identified her, and we knew who she was.
Well, I apologize for interrupting you. We know her name from the A1 statement by Mr. Adams. Yes. We know she's from, she worked at BMW. I can't find anything else that tells me about Mrs. Mokwele in the docket and her employment at BMW until I come across this Section 28. And I assume that if that is the case, you were in exactly the same position on the 31st of January 2025. All you knew was her name and BMW. And remember, the target is to determine whether or not there was manipulation of processes within SAPS.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand, why do you start at BMW with these specific documents? Request for these specific documents. What informed this?
Thank you, Chair. First of all, on the A1 statement, paragraph 2, there's no name of Mrs. Mokwele on there, just BMW.
It's at paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3 of the A1.
3 of A1.
Of whose
CI
A1?
management
Of Mr. Adams'
favored
A1.
Mrs. Mokwele over them. Paragraph 3 of A1. CI management favored Mrs. Mokwele
Yes,
over
my
the
apologies.
IDAC.
Yes. But we already knew, beside the name Mrs. Mokwele, we already had details at that time through the investigation processes that we have.
If I may interject, because this is very important for my understanding of what happened. What in the docket tells me that your investigations revealed the details?
What in the,
In your docket, your first document is the A1, dated 6
Yes.
January 25.
yes.
In terms of the date stamp, your next document is 31 January 2025, which is this document. What did I miss in your investigation file?
In my docket itself, there's
Yes.
no witness statement there. A witness statement comes, I think it's further down in the docket amongst
Yes.
one of the statements where the full details is.
Yes.
But up until leading of that, we had the name and surname of the person, and therefore I requested the documents.
Where did you get that name and surname from? And what in the file tells me you have the name and the surname?
Through the investigation process.
No, I hear how you obtain them. I want to know what in the docket tells me when you acquired her name and her ID number. Because it's not in the docket, unless it's one of those perhaps that because we started off with an incomplete docket, something was missing.
An investigation goes where you conduct inquiries, where you get the name, whatever, and the surname on the police system, personnel system. You get details there, and you carry on with your investigation from there. The next part of it is to get.
Sorry, before you get onto the system, you know what you're looking for. You already
Yes,
have some information, and the question is, how did you, or from whom did you get the name? Now you say you have the parcel number, if that's what you used, your ID number. Where did you get that from? How and where do we see that in the docket?
Thank you, Commissioner. What I'm saying is through inquiries, speaking to people, and during the course of the investigation, you speak to people, and the talk is, who is this lady? Through that investigation and asking questions and stuff like that, I got these details. But it was not full details.
Did you speak to human resources? Did you speak to crime intelligence that you end up knowing the person that is referred to in the complaint, in that A1 statement, is Dineo Mokwele? Somebody told you that,
Yes.
right? We know that. Somebody told you that. The question is, who told you that? And where in the docket do we see, yes, this is how he got the information. He got it from General Masemola on this day because he had an interview with General Masemola. You're being asked that kind of question.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner. I would have spoken to people from crime intelligence from the environment who are working in that environment. It could have been Colonel Holstars, one of our witnesses, whose statement is in the docket. I could have got that information from her at the beginning stage of this investigation that's conducted. But where do I have to put a statement and an affidavit that I identified this particular person from so-and-so? That's not in my docket. I didn't put it there. I didn't feel that it's necessary because I'm still busy with my investigation. So through those bits and pieces that you pick up together, I got that information and I utilized that information.
My question then, how did you know who to target at crime intelligence to determine her name? There it is, Ms. Dineo Mokwele, and to determine her ID number. Who did you speak to, and on what basis did you identify who to speak to? Because all you have is your A1, remember?
Yeah.
All we have is our two-pager A1.
Yes.
Who did you speak to obtain those details, and how, on what basis did you identify who to talk to in crime intelligence?
It's people that I know that I worked with previously. There's quite a few of them that I spoke to, gathered bits and pieces of information, so from the environment itself. But the person that came up with Mokwele and the details is who I called and interviewed and eventually took a statement from, which is in the docket, was Colonel Holstars.
which is much later than this date.
Late-
My
later than
logic
this date.
tells me then, all you had is Mrs. Mokwele, all you
Yes.
had is appointment in a certain function. Why didn't you ask the National Commissioner to please establish on your behalf what is happening here? Who is this person? And give you files pertaining to that appointment. Why didn't you do so? Rather than, because what you're coming across as suggesting that you walked the passages of CI and relied on previous relationships you had to ask people to go snooping around to find, is there a lady from BMW employed here? Why didn't you just direct that question to National Commissioner?
No.
You are investigating, sorry, apologies. You are investigating, you are authorized to investigate, you have your appointment letter from IDAC,